Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Boomer Live once again. And here we are to talk about South Africa versus Bangladesh. Big game on our hands for today. Remember, South Africa are on a high at this point in the World Cup after having defeated the defending champions by a huge margin, and they are flying high, one can say. So, Proteus, as always, we rate them as favorites, and this World Cup, they are dominating in multiple fronts. And they are going to be playing in Wankhede today, which is certainly a ground they'd want to play. There is enough bounce that the ball comes onto the bat beautifully, and possibly it suits their kind of play as well. But before we get into the live, do not forget to check out our app, which is Boomer 11. The link is down in the description. If you haven't made your fantasy teams already for today, get into our premium, check out our premium future using our Boomer coins, where you can get into our shop, purchase some things from the shop, and get some Boomer points as rewards, and use that to enter into our premium contest, where you can absolutely have a blast by playing fantasy contests after all, and enjoying the World Cup as well. So make this World Cup more exciting with Boomer 11 as you pick, play, and win many prizes with Boomer 11. I've Jaren with me. Jaren, a great game what we have today. From what you saw yesterday, it again shows anybody can defeat anyone on the given day. And this World Cup has all been about that. There is no team who you can take lightly in this World Cup, because everybody starts on equal footing because of the talent, because of the way in which they've all qualified into this World Cup, and they've all deserved to be here. You can never say, okay, this team is an easy 2 point for me. I can go out there and grab. Anybody can show up, and you can say those South Africa are flying high. As you saw against Netherlands, they can be halted by Bangladesh.
Yeah, I mean, you'd also have to consider the fact that at least in the England versus South Africa game, the weather was equally, equally hostile to both the teams, not being used to such kind of a weather. But I think Bangladesh will not be that uncomfortable as probably the South Africans and the English were. So that's going to be a huge deal as well, especially if Bangladesh get the option to bat first. Could be a very good, factor that goes for them. But on the other hand, you'd also have to say that it's Wankhede. It's going to be a batting friendly pitch. So if you look at the two teams and their batting prowess, probably at least the conventional cricketing knowledge will tell you that South Africa have that advantage. Two games that they've played here, they've enjoyed thoroughly, and they've smashed some of the ballers out there. I mean, probably even better than what Bangladesh has to offer. So
Yeah,
right now, on paper, it looks like South Africa has that slight edge. We never know. I think there are also a few concerns in the Bangladeshi camp whether
yeah.
both Tuskin and Shakib will be playing today's game or not.
Shakib
Because
is playing today, but the
correct,
big news
confirm.
is Temba Bavuma is left out again. So this is a very interesting thing.
Yeah,
When we
yeah,
were
yeah,
making the thumbnails for the preview, I was very unsure as to whether to put Temba Bavuma or Aiden Markram. But I was like, okay, let's go with Aiden Markram, because I just have a feeling that Temba Bavuma will be dropped from the World Cup. It just looks like he's dropped for now. And I think it's for the good of the team as well. Anyways, they wanted a player who can score runs, and Lisa Hendricks is doing a good job. And the toss is done, and is Aiden Markram. Oh, no, the toss is not done yet. I
yeah.
think, yeah, Aiden Markram has won the toss, and it's they have chosen to bat first once again. So interesting that they've chosen to bat first, considering the heat is a factor, not dew. So these are the factors of that latest update, that South Africa won the toss. They've chosen to bat. Aiden Markram is the captain. Shakib is back for Bangladesh. But Jaren, let's talk about the South African team. I think they are looking extremely comfortable having Risa Hendricks up top with Quinton de Kock. Then you have a Rusty Vanderdusen who's been doing an immaculate job out there, number three. He's been giving consistent runs. Aiden Markram coming in and chipping in, trying to steady the ship if need be, or up the scoring rate whenever situation demands. Then you have a David Miller, Henrik Klaassen, who are destructive on their day. And Marco Jansen showed once again that don't rate him any low with the bat. So this looks like a proper top seven who can score any amount of runs, as they've been showing in this World Cup.
Yeah, I think the two biggest concerns, right? The first one is obviously the lower middle order. How will they cope up when it comes to that lower middle order, And the number seven, number eight position, I think their biggest worry was they were having either a good bowler there or a good batter there, not able to get a combination of the two. Now, Mark and Jansen has solved both the problems. It's been that one shot solution. And probably the other worry that they had was a left arm spin, I mean, or a good spinner, but that has also been kind of quelled, with the likes of Keshav Maharaj doing a very good job. They've not even
Yeah.
needed a Tabrez Shamsi. So I think you'll have to just say that overall, both their problems have been resolved leading into this World Cup. And now they're looking like a team which is hell bent on destroying other bowling lineups. And today again, they batting first, which seems to be something that they like a lot more than to just than to field first. And if you just look at the team has been the second best batting lineup so far. I think if you look at the third best, at least in terms of the runs scored. And remember, two other teams who have scored more runs than them have played more matches than them. So just shows that this team has been absolutely brilliant so far, and they're not even giving their wickets away for a lot of runs. I mean, they not giving the wickets away cheaply. They've done really well in terms of their batting, and the bowling too has has been just as good. They've bowled really well in the power play, especially with the new ball. Destroyed the back of the team by the time the 10th over is over. So I think overall they're a team on high confidence at this point in time. And even though the Netherlands game they ended up losing, just seems like it was an aberration at this point in time. And probably a wake up call which came at the right time. And just seems like there's nothing this team can be. There's nothing you can do to stop this team at this point in time.
Absolutely. I think one factor which we're not talking about enough for this team is also their spin bowling. They've not done any badly in the spin department. And I think they've got options there. I mean, we've seen Keshav Maharaj not also going for a lot of runs. He's been extremely consistent with the way he's bowled. There's no Tabrez Shamsi, which is a massive decision that they had to make to drop Shamsi for this World Cup and to play in with four fast bowlers. And four genuinely good fast bowlers. Koidze has done really good. I know there are on occasions he's gone for runs, but his lengths have troubled a lot of batters through the middle overs. And remember, the last game is the moment Koitze came to ball, he didn't make an impact straight away, picking up Harry Brook. And I think he picked up one more wicket there. I think it was Al Rashid there. He was outstanding, to be honest, with the pace and lengths he was hitting. It felt like he was bowling in Johannesburg rather than he was bowling in Mumbai last time. But I also feel this team can play in a lot of conditions. Next game, they play against Pakistan in Chennai. Maybe that's one of the occasions where they can bring in someone like a Shamsi into their attack, considering the fact that Pakistan have had their struggles against a left arm wrist spinner. So that combination really, suits them to play in a lot more conditions than what we are seeing right now. But Jed, also I'll point out one factor about South African team is the template they played the cricket. What do you make of the template? I mean, they've not really gone berserk up front in the first 10 overs, but they've been extremely circumspect in terms of the runs they want to score. They've saved it for the middle overs from 10 to 40. They still score a run a ball or at 6, 7 at max. At the last 10 overs, that's where they absolutely go ballistic. And that's really worked for them in this tournament.
For them, it's always been about consistently scoring runs in all phases of the game. But there is a point in time where they just let loose, isn't it? And if you just look at when it comes to the averages in the power play, you've got a decent average, 47, fourth best in the team in the World Cup, and but the strike rate as well, right? I think that's where they really do the damage. They're striking at close to 80, which is, not that great when it comes to the power play. If you look at the other teams, then I think it's also been about probably preserving their wickets, not really going after the bowling right away, because not the most explosive batting pair. You have to consider, I think Riza Hendricks just came in the last time around. Till before that, it was Temba Bavuma. Their idea is obviously to ensure that they have a base, but I don't think it affects them as badly as probably, for example, if you take Pakistan, right? We've been criticizing them for the same reasons. But what South Africa does do is they've got fearless batting in that lower middle order and the lower order, and that's the reason why they make up for most of it by the time that 40th over comes around. And I think obviously if you look at the kind of batters they've got Heinrich Klaassen, they've got David Miller, they've gotten a lot of these batters. I mean, even a Marco Jansen who can hit the long ball. So these three lads, they're a destruction crew on their own, wrecking crew, I think the best way to call them. And these lads can just score boundaries at will. And today, it's going to be really helpful for someone like Heinrich Klaassen. The reason why Heinrich Klaassen loves Wankhede is because it's got square, short boundaries. The moment you throw spinners at him, loves the reverse sweep, loves playing inside out. Everything goes square to the wicket. And I think very similar as well. I mean, for someone like Marco Jansen, who likes to play down the ground, I think there's no boundary in the world. You can have a 100-meter boundary, but still have Marco Jansen smash 2 sixes in a game easily. So I think that's the kind of batters they are. And I think both Rassie van der Dussen, Markram, very versatile players, especially someone like Markram, right? He's got all 5 gears. And you've seen him go berserk. You've seen him play a lot more pragmatic cricket. So I think overall the kind of versatility they've got just phenomenal, this batting lineup.
Absolutely. And yeah, Teju says Miller, Markram kind of a day. Miller hasn't really turned up to the tournament in a big way, but today can be the day, right? A good batting deck. If Miller gets going in this team as well, this team only gets that harder impetus to go even more further. I know they've got some challenges up front, but they've faced majority of it. They've gone on to defeat the likes of England, Australia. That's a major up there. They've got Pakistan up front next as well. But before that, let's talk about Bangladesh as well. They did put up a good batting performance against India in terms of scoring 270 odd. They got a phenomenal start against India, especially Tanzim Hasan and Liton Das. Especially Tanzim Hasan, he's been in really good form. He looks like a player to watch out for the future. He looks like a ideal replacement for Tamim Iqbal as well. Tamim Hasan. He's got that class about him. He's got that flair about him. He's very fearless. Another under 19 graduate. You reckon if Bangladesh have to pose a threat to South Africa, their openers will have to come good. Alongside it, the likes of Shakib, Mahmudullah, Mushfiqur all have to play and chip in to really cross the line, because it isn't going to be easy in this Mumbai Wankhede pitch, especially under lights, and if you're going to lose early wickets.
I mean, I like the way Tanzim bats. He's very fearless, like you mentioned. There's a little bit of an issue, though. I mean, from what I noticed against India, right, in that first 10 overs when the ball was moving, just seemed like he does tend to get his footwork a little wrong. Sometimes doesn't reach out to the ball. That's the thing you say about the moving ball, right? You play it as late as possible, and you ensure your footwork is right in place so that your body is open enough to face the ball. That's one issue that I sometimes feel. He either ends up closing his bat too early or opens himself up a little too early. So I think that is slightly an issue. And in Mumbai, in the evening, there's a bit of wind that blows from the sea, and that kind of aids the swing bowling. And that's where maybe some places, you would have to assume that he's going to struggle a bit. But if he can get past that, like he did
Yeah,
against India, right? Against India, he struggled in that first 5 overs. But once the ball stopped moving, this guy's got that fearless cricket. Now, he's a kind of batter. I think he's somewhere around that Kushal Mendes kind of a batter. When he's
yeah,
attacking, he looks aggressive. He looks a lot more potent, because that's one narrow-minded focus. So he doesn't think a lot of things. Just looks the ball and hits it. And I think that's the best of Tanzim. So if he can do that against South Africa, put that pressure back on South African bowling, that's will be interesting to see. Because I think the only time we've seen South African bowling being put on pressure was against Netherlands, and you saw that they slightly crumbled towards the end, where they became a little bit more defensive. Their plans are not
yeah.
working. Did not seem to have a plan B. So that's probably where it'll be interesting to see how South Africa faces that up. But the bigger challenge for them, I think, is going to be that first innings. How do
Yeah.
you restrict South Africa, like Azil says, from scoring another 400 or a close to
No, but
400 target? Yeah.
to be very honest, this is a very interesting point from Teju as well. South Africa have been very comfortable batting first, but the moment they have been put to bat second, there is a lot of uncertainty as to how do you go about a chase. I think there's a lot more clog in their mind in comparison with how they have been so comfortable batting first. You reckon going ahead, especially towards the business end of this tournament, you would want them to chase a lot more totals under tougher circumstances, because in semifinals and finals, if they are to play that, you will be put under the circumstances again and again. You don't know where you're going to play the semi-final or final. You might be playing in a Mumbai pitch, which might just offer a lot more, or you might be playing in a pitch which is a Wankhede pitch, or a Eden Gardens pitch, which might also be offering a lot more under lights. So the opportunity is with you, whether to really be trained or drilled enough to face those challenges, especially leading into the semi-final, or you can be slightly on the comfort zone, saying that okay, we are more comfortable batting first. We want to continue to do that. So until and unless we qualify, which India have been doing these days. India have been very comfortable chasing, and they are like, we back ourselves to chase any score down, and we're very comfortable in restricting these. See, it can come to backfire you at some stage, and that's where once you're qualified, you would want to really experiment a lot more leading into the business end.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think right now, obviously, they're looking to get that qualification as quickly as possible, because there's still 6 points. They're only still 6 points, right, from 4 matches, and they've got another I think 5 matches left with them, and that's going to take a little bit of time before they qualify, because another 5 matches, including this one, obviously. So they'll probably look to win the next two, that is against Pakistan and Bangladesh. This one, and then maybe against India and New Zealand, which comes later down the line, where the qualification will almost be certified if they win the next two, and if Australia does not keep track of them. In that case, you might see a little bit more experimentation, or I would like to see a little bit more experimentation, especially against New Zealand and India, where I know those are important matches for you, but once you've qualified, that'll probably be a dress rehearsal for the semi-finals, because most likely
Absolutely.
you're about to face these two teams. So that's where you'll want a little bit more experiment. But right now, obviously, the idea is to play to your strengths and make sure you qualify in that semi-finals.
Absolutely, that's a good point because you would want to qualify first, put that
Yeah,
Q next to your name, then do what you want to do. Because every game in this World Cup is very important. You cannot just be so far fetched saying that, oh, let's look at the semi-final, the final right now. I think even in the final or semi-final, you would want to be just playing it as you are playing right now. You don't want to think about it. You don't want to do it as another game. I think Aisha is still not recovered from last night's loss. लांती बेशरम टीम इतनी फीलिंग्स नहीं देखती हमारी घटिया भाग टीम आयशा आई फील फॉर यू मेरा दिल मेरा दिल कर रहा है कि मैं लगा कर गोली मार दूं आई थिंक दैट्स a bit too much but it's
yeah.
a
I
very
think
typical
it's
Pakistan
it's
fan reaction as well.
yeah,
We
it's
have not
sport,
seen any
Aisha. It
memes.
can happen.
Unfortunately, there are not a lot of Pakistani fans who have traveled to India. Also, would have gotten a lot more meme material for this World Cup. Unfortunate. I would love to have seen that, but it's just beautiful. I think just uh, just forget it. It's one of those World Cups, 50 overs. Just forget it. Maybe look at next World Cup. It's just 4 years time from now. It'll come. ऐसे ऐसे आ जाएगा तो वेट कर थोड़ी देर आ जाएगा जैसे अगले साल T20 वर्ल्ड कप भी है चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी भी है पाकिस्तान में and there are a lot of things to watch out for in the coming years. I think
Yeah,
Pakistan are not yet out. Let's not write them off yet. They can
exactly.
still win a lot of
I
games
mean,
and come back.
I think it was a Champions Trophy 2017. Remember how they started off really badly? So, I mean, there are
But you know what?
possibilities.
There's a difference between these T20 World Cups and Champions trophies because you just have to win two matches and you're through to the final, semi-finals, which is a
Yeah,
very weird thing about these tournaments. But if you look at the World Cup, you have to play 9 matches and you have to be the best top four in 9 matches. That's why the World Cup format is so good. You're the best four teams in the world
yeah,
to make it to the finals. And that's why you have to earn it rather than waiting for results rather than waiting for two of their good days to happen. And in T20 World Cup as well, Pakistan, how did they qualify into the semi final? They had a Netherlands team who really did the job for them. They were not supposed to be there. And on when they went to the semi final, they believe that, oh, wait a moment, maybe things are working in our favor. They got a good toss to win against New Zealand, batted second, chased that down, went to play the final, lost that. So for Pakistan, a lot of things have worked their favor in this last two World Cups, T20 World Cups lost one important toss against India in 2021 under dewy circumstances. Got the ball to move around up front, picked up India's top order, put them in the pressure. So a lot of things have worked for them. So ultimately, when you talk about 50 overs World Cup, even in 2019, a lot of things did not go because they were challenged in all fronts. Remember, they got all out for 105 against West Indies in 2019 World Cup.
yeah.
They were put under tremendous pressure in multiple fronts in that World Cup, even against Afghanistan. Imad Wasim and I think it was Wahab Diaz, whose catches were dropped for 4 to 5 times, and they
Hmm.
just edged past them even in that World Cup. So finally, they've been exposed in multiple fronts, conditions, fitness levels, batting approach, inability to be penetrative. So a lot of things have really not
Yeah.
gone their way, and they've been
I
exposed in
mean,
multiple.
even it's also been the fact that for the last 4 years or so, they really haven't taken on a challenge. They have been afraid to go to these countries, face diverse conditions, face difficult conditions. I mean, I know they'll never play. I mean, the way things are, they'll probably never play cricket in India for another 10, 15 years, probably. Or at least we can't say anything about it at this point in time. And I can understand that Indian conditions being alien to them, but they haven't really gone out of their comfort zone in the last 4 years. I think ever since this regime has taken over, the current regime, there has been a tendency to just play easier matches or tougher matches in your home conditions. So that kind of lack of adaptability, that's really hurt them. It's going to be tough times
Yeah,
ahead.
even if
Remember,
you look at the number of teams they've scored against, right? I forgot these players who have even played against them. They've not even in the second string team of the Luke Wood, Ben Listein, Sisanda Magala. These guys are not even in the full strength team of any of these teams. And you've scored
Scott
hundreds
Bogle.
against them. Yeah, Ben Dwarshes is another name which comes into my
Yeah,
mind. A lot of these guys doesn't even play cricket for their main team. So It's unfortunate, and it's actually the real truth that you prepared flat surfaces, you've scored runs, stat padded all your way out, defeated the second string teams. ऐसे बोलते हैं ना that you dump low quality stuff into a country. That's what other teams have done. They dump their low string teams and made them feel good. It's all a feel good factor until unless you are exposed. Asia Cup was the first challenge. They failed there. World Cup has been the biggest challenge. We expected. We saw this coming, and we were not surprised. Even the last
Yeah,
T20 World Cup, we saw that coming. Luck was in their favor a long way. Big luck. Let's all accept it. There was sheer luck. Nothing else but luck. They lost to Zimbabwe there, remember? They lost to India. They lost to Zimbabwe. They defeated South Africa. On their day, South Africa again was not good. Mohammad Harris came and played that knock here and there. But to be very fair, would you look into your mirror and say, oh, Pakistan have been the best team? You've been living in a wheel of saying that, yeah, we've been performing good and you want to just accept for your own benefit. If you look at 2021 was a good Pakistan team who went on to play semi-final in the T20 World Cup. A lot of things worked in their favor, but since then it's not been the same. Or if you look at any other series in one day international, anywhere where they've traveled, they've all struggled. So I think it's about time they reflect themselves. Maybe some heads have to be rolled out and might be rolled out very soon after seeing all this
yeah, yeah.
performance. But before we go into it, some we have to pay tribute to India's one of the greatest spinners who passed
Of
away
course.
yesterday. We forgot to do that yesterday. We'll not
Yeah,
forget. We didn't have time to do it yesterday. So we are here to give tribute to possibly the greatest spinner to have come out of India, Bishan Singh Bedi, who lost his life at the age of 77. We have not seen him play. At least we've not been fortunate enough to see him play. I watched a lot of interviews of it. One thing which I could get from Bishan Singh Bedi is he is a larger than life man or larger than life cricketer who you always enjoyed his game on the field, enjoyed his life off the field, and he always put his teammates in front. He always fought for injustice. He always fought for everything. He captained India in 21 Test matches. Brilliant cricketer. People still say the moment Bishan Singh Bedi, the ball comes out of his hand, you can still hear the sound of the revs of the ball. So that's the
yeah.
impact he's had for a lot of young generation spinners. You always remember the spin quartet of Chandrasekhar, Bishan Singh Bedi, Venkat Raghav, and Prasanna. So obviously, he was a leader of that pack, won his test matches overseas and in India, a true legend of the game, which certainly going to miss him. And he was a good administrator as well for a good amount of period.
Yeah, I mean he was just one of those guys, who definitely set Indian cricket on the right path, and not just as a player, but also post his career. He was just one of those guys who always had an opinion which always led Indian cricket to greater heights. And I mean, I watched a few of his, few of the footages that was available of his bowling. I mean, the way that guy flighted the ball and the drop that he had on the batters. And I mean, interestingly enough, he's one of the best bowlers in the fourth innings of a test match, even today. I think his average was a 14, and that was unheard of in those days, to be a spinner. I mean, he bowled in the days of the great West Indian fast bowlers, and to still do better than them in, the fourth innings of the game, and the amount of turn and revs he got was an absolute legend. And I think the whole Indian cricket fraternity will definitely miss him. We were really unfortunate to not, see him play during our lifetime. And I think a legend of the game for sure.
Absolutely. That's why from that particular tribute, what we could have given to Bishan Singh Bedi, he deserves a lot more. He's changed lives of so many people. And that's one of the reasons why, there was a certain lull in cricket Twitter, in cricketing
Yeah.
fraternity in general yesterday. And I'm pretty sure there's no better way. He's seen it all. He's not won a World Cup for India, but if India can win this World Cup and tribute to him, that'd be beautiful. But either way, to be very fair, let's talk about this game as we are just inching very closer to this one. What is an ideal total from here on? As Azil rightly mentioned, 400, but going for 400 all the time isn't an easy task. You have to be absolutely on there on your day. You have to be absolutely on the front foot doing it. If South Africa can conserve wicket, if Quinton de Kock gets going, then anything is possible once again. Remember, left-handers in this team, like the likes of Quinton de Kock and likes of Miller, they would want to take on the likes of Shakib Al Hasan, and then Honvik Klaasen and other lads will take on the office. So that's one factor which South Africa will really use against the finger spinners of Bangladesh today.
Yeah, I mean, just I think another update has just come in. I think Lungi Ngidi is not playing today. It's I think it's Lizard Williams. If that's the way to
Eliza
pronounce it.
Williams, yeah.
Yeah, so he's the one who's entering in. So that's another update. But yeah, I think um, anything below 300 is what Bangladesh will hope, and anything above, I don't know, world record breaking is what South Africa will go for. And I think it's going to be very important for Bangladesh. Now, what is interesting, Abel, now is South Africa is the second best batting team in this World Cup in the middle overs in terms of in terms of strike rate. And I think if you look at Bangladesh, their biggest strength is the middle over spin choke that they apply. And it's going to be interesting to see who does it better. Will Bangladesh do it against South Africa in squarer boundaries in Wankhede? And then obviously death bowling, because South Africa is easily the best batting team in the death, and Bangladesh not really the most prolific team in the death when it comes to bowling. That's going to be very important. Interesting first innings for sure. And I think overall,
Absolutely. And to also add to that, Jaren, I'll just say that Mustafiz will have a rough, tough job cut out for him. He will have to pick up wickets up front, and he
yeah.
will have to make sure that Quinton de Kock, Aiden Markram, Rossi Vanderdusen, they are kept quiet today. He's got the experience of playing in these conditions, and we've been talking about the spin threat. I think as much as spin threat we've been talking about, like Shariful and especially Mustafiz will have their job cut out to put pressure on them. Remember, Reece Topley did edge Quinton de Kock in the ball chasing, going away from him. He'd really go chasing and playing a cover drive up front. So Shoriful will really have to take the ball away from him and make sure that he goes for the drive. It's okay if he concedes a couple of boundaries, but look for that ball to just go past him and the ball slightly wider so that he chases a ball in the fifth or sixth stump. You never know, you might just get the reward for the risk what you take. And in Mumbai, up front with the new ball, you always tend to get something off the wicket and also in the air. Not as much as what you'll get under lights, but you can definitely take those risks. And if you can put some bit of pressure in for the South African team, that'll be a good one. Because remember, if they're shaken in the power play, you've seen in the Netherlands game as well, they can be extremely wayward, setting a total or chasing a total as well. So you want to bring in their middle order as soon as possible in the case likes of Klaassen and Markram and see how they build from there on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first 4 overs is going to be the most crucial, I would say, because in the first 4 overs, you will see a lot of movement. But once that first 4 overs are done, the movement will start reducing from there on in.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very important that both Shariful and Mustafiz would get their wickets early and rock South Africa. Try and bring in Heinrich Klaassen, ask him to play 30 overs, try so that he has to curb his natural instincts. I think you'll have to get past the 4 players to do that, right? Because
Yeah.
I think Van der Dussen, Markram, all these lads can play the long innings. Force Heinrich Klaassen to play the long innings, because that's what we saw against Netherlands. He was forced to play innings where he had to preserve his wicket and play a lot more pragmatic cricket. Struggled, played the ball in the air, played in the wrong down the wrong angle, and ended up getting a wicket. So that's what they'll have to do: get quick wickets. But that's going to be tough playing in under the sunlight. That's going to be the biggest problem.
Absolutely, absolutely. कोई chance है semi-final का? Yes, there is a lot of chance for Pakistan to qualify in the semi-final. Their job is cut out, win all the games what they have remaining, and hope results also go in their way. Which
Yeah.
Australia, South Africa, a lot of these teams to lose, and Afghanistan also to lose a couple of matches here and there. So
I
that is
think,
their hope right now.
yeah, they have to win all their matches with good net run rate. That's going to be very important, because they've taken some really big hits when it comes to the net run rate. And secondly, I think they'll have to hope at least Australia messes it up in the next few matches that they play. And that's the biggest challenge, because Australia have some of the easiest games going around, the easiest
Yeah,
set of fixtures going around. I think Pakistan's net run rate is minus 400 right now. And if you look at the teams that are worse than them, it's Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Netherlands, Sri Lanka, and England. So not a bad sign. That only team better than them in net run rate is Australia. But then the unfortunate part for them is that Australia is the only team, or one of the teams, that they still want to mess up. So yeah, it's a tough one there. I think a lot of duas is the only way for
a lot of
Pakistan to.
things have to go in their favor. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you once again for joining everyone. Let's enjoy this game and do not forget to check out our app once again, Boomer 11. The link is there in the description. and also have a good time this World Cup playing on Boom 11 your fantasy contest, because you can win a lot of prizes. Remember, wherever you're in the world, you can win a lot of prizes. And also check out our social media pages, which is Instagram, and also subscribe to this channel and share this with as many friends as possible. And like this video right now, because that's what algorithm cares. Doesn't matter about who wins and who loses. Algorithm doesn't have feelings. Algorithm only cares about likes. So help us to reach out to many people as possible. Take care, all of you, and see you all very soon after the match. Bye bye.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye, guys.